Hey everyone, I'm Jennifer and this is the Quilted Cows Back to the Basics series. Today we'll be working on Canestrelli. This is class 4 of 4 in the beginning quilting class. Before we get started, I would like to thank our sponsors, Wilmington Prints, Husqvarna Viking, and Creative Grids. In your last class, we went over piecing your quilt top together and adding borders. This is what you should have. This quilt is wicked pretty. All right, so let's get started on how to finish your quilt. So you have different options on finishing your quilt. You can send it off for finishing to a long arm quilter. They have a big machine that sits on a frame and they quilt it for you, or you can quilt it yourself. But today I'm going to show you how to quilt it at home. All right, so let's take a look at what I've done. I've got this little mock-up here for you just because I didn't want to work on such a large quilt in this small space. All right, so you will need your backing fabric and you're going to need your batting, and then you have your quilt top. Now, the batting and the backing need to be larger than the quilt top. Now, to hold all your layers together, you'll need to baste all the layers so that they don't move. The first thing you need to do is find a large flat surface to work on. A solid floor or table large enough, not a carpeted floor or a bed. Lay your backing fabric wrong side up. All right, you'll see right here I have this wrong side up. And make sure that, again, it has to be larger than your quilt top. Then we'll place the batting on top of the backing. I like to spray baste or fuse using the fusing powder, which I'm going to show you all of that too. Then add your quilt top right side up. Make sure all layers stay flat. You can spray baste again and add some basting pins too. So let me show you. So I like to use 505 spray. And usually what I would do is I would spray baste and also use pins. So we've got the spray basting, we also have the fusing powder. So spray baste, fusing powder, and also we've got these curved basting pins. Let me place one down here so you can see the little curve on that pin. So these do come in. We have containers of these also where you get like 100 of them. Depending on the size of your quilt will determine how many pins you need. But there's a little bow in this pin, and what that does is it makes it easy to go like this and go through all of your layers. So just now I went through my backing, my batting, and my quilt top just with one push of that pin because of that little curve in it. So what you're going to do is spray baste or use your powder depending on if you want the fumes in your house or not, and then you're going to layer all of them just like that. One way of quilting is called free motion. That's where you put the feed dogs down on your machine and you quilt the designs. That takes a lot of practice and skill, so we won't do that. We're going to stitch in the ditch. You will need a walking foot, and I recommend gloves also. So let me show you what that looks like. So the quilting gloves are just like this. They have these little grippy fingers. They make it easy so that you can move the quilt around. All right, and then the other thing you're going to want to do, if your machine doesn't have a built-in walking foot, you're going to need a walking foot. And this is what a walking foot looks like. It's this little box-looking thing that you put on your machine. Anyway, so that's what you're going to need. And so the walking foot, what the walking foot does is it keeps all of the layers together as you're quilting. So like I said, we're going to stitch in the ditch. So stitching in the ditch with all 3 layers, you're going to want this. Now, if you were going to put your feed dogs down, that takes a different type of foot, and the free motion is a whole lot different than stitching in the ditch. All right, so let me show you guys how to stitch in the ditch now. So after everything is basted and all of your layers are ready to go, so again, it is your backing fabric right side down, your cotton batting or poly batting, whatever you choose to use, is right in the middle, and then you have your quilt top right side up. You're going to go ahead and bring this over to your machine. Again, your walking foot will already be installed on your machine. Now, to stitch in the ditch, let's go ahead and walk over here. What you do to stitch in the ditch is you stitch in all of your seam lines. That's where you're going to be stitching. So you put, all right, now I did not add my walking foot because I am just doing this as a little preview for you. And you're going to gently separate all of the layers just so that you can get in that seam. And you are going to go through and you are going to stitch in the ditch every single seam line. And then you can pivot as you go. It is a lot of work. It is very tiring on the shoulders. I totally recommend you guys learning how to do it this way first. All right, let me go ahead and clip my threads because I forgot to over there. After finishing the whole quilt, it's time to trim all the excess backing and batting and square the quilt. So you're going to have to go ahead and remove all of your pins. To square, use a large ruler and start at a corner and work your way around the quilt. So what I like to do is I like to start right here on one corner. You need a nice 90-degree angle, and then that way you're making sure that everything is nice and square. And go ahead and make your first cut just like that. And then just work your way around the quilt, making sure that whatever measurement that border may fall in or the blocks may fall in, try to keep it consistent all the way around the quilt. All right, guys, so that's what you're gonna do. You're gonna trim everything, all of the excess off, and then it's time for the finishing touch, adding the binding. I'm gonna hand you off to Reese for machine binding. You can check out her tutorial right here on our channel. All right, guys, you have done it. You've made your first quilt top. Congratulations. All right, hope to see you back here for more tutorials. Thanks. All right, you wicked cool quilters, you made it to the end. Good job. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook. Also, like and subscribe to our channel. We would like to thank our sponsors, Husqvarna Viking, Wilmington Prints, and Creative Grids.